My name is Danielle, and this is Trying Matters. If you're looking for a no BS type podcast, this is it. I'm here to help make life fun and interesting and learn right alongside you how to be brave enough to go against the grain. Here, we'll be talking about real challenges and fears that are holding us women back from living our lives to the fullest. So let's shake things up a bit and actually start trying. All right, guys, welcome back to Trying Matters. This is episode 5. And if you guys are watching my face right now on YouTube, I'm just feeling goofy. Every time I see the countdown for me to start recording, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I get all like giddy inside and like, ooh, here we go. Anyway, so welcome back. Today's episode is going to be about something that I, yet again, am struggling with, especially this week. And for those of you who follow me on social media and you responded to my poll that I put on my story on my Instagram, thank you. And the ones who responded on Facebook, thank you, because you requested this, got your feedback, and here we go. Drum roll. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. We're talking about procrastination, ladies. And if there's any gentlemen, welcome. Procrastination. So initially, when I asked for feedback on my social media, I was asking for what people think their biggest weakness is. And I got a whole 6 responses. Woot woot. Very exciting. Sometimes I get none, so that's a win. 4 out of the 6, procrastination. People are considering this their biggest weakness as their personality flaw or in their career, whatever it may be. A lot of people are struggling with procrastination, and me personally, yes, absolutely. Um, in fact, I was procrastinating putting out this episode this week, which we'll get to that in a minute. So initially when I was getting feelers for that, I wanted to make an episode about like how can we turn our greatest weakness into our greatest strength? But since so many people were saying that procrastination was their greatest weakness, I wanted to kind of break down procrastination before we even get into how we can possibly turn that into a strength. So that may be another episode, but today we're just going to talk about it and be so fucking real about it. Because when I say I procrastinate on the daily, and when I was not ready to record this episode, I was totally procrastinating. Like, I know we're all out there doing the same thing. So here we go. We're diving in for real. So, what I find to be very helpful when I'm procrastinating, and I'm going to use the example of me putting off recording this episode. And I have a few other examples I'm going to go over too, just because I learn very well through examples and real life stuff. And I feel like y'all probably do too. If you do, snaps. Let's get some snaps going to that. Um, I procrastinate everything. So, my example that I'm going to go off of, because I want y'all to truly be right here, right alongside with me and understanding like where I'm coming from, and hopefully you can relate to it too. So I was postponing. I put this off. Normally I record on a Monday. Today I'm recording on a Tuesday because I was just like, I don't know what I want to talk about. And I was stumped on that. And once I really started thinking about it, because I was pushing it off, I pushed it off Sunday when I usually like to do kind of my brainstorming. And then I pushed it off yesterday because I was like, I still don't, there's nothing that I really am feeling drawn to talk about this week. And in the past couple of weeks, I've been like, oh, this is what I'm going through right now in this moment. And that's what I'm going to talk about. Well, it came full circle to me today. So I've been just kind of waiting, procrastinating. And it just kind of came to me. I was like, oh my gosh, so many people talked about procrastination. And here I am procrastinating, talking about something that could be helpful to somebody. So I started thinking about it. I was like, why? Why am I procrastinating? And this is my first point that I'm going to make here is when you start procrastinating, do what I have heard called the 7 layers of why. So if you're not familiar with the 7 layers of why, you ask yourself a question or you say, okay, I'm procrastinating. First level, why? Why am I procrastinating? My answer to that question was, I have no idea what I want to talk about this week. Well, why does that mean that I don't need to record? Well, if I don't have anything good to say, why say anything at all? Well, why do I feel like that? Okay, so now we're on like level 3. Well, why do I feel like if I have nothing good to say, I shouldn't put it out? I can find something good to say and it could still be good, but I don't want to do it. Well, why? Well, it's not good enough yet. Well, why does that matter? Well, I'm worried about what people think of me. Well, why does that matter? Well, because I want to be accepted. And you see, now we've broken down layer by layer why, until we get to the core of it. Me doing these episodes, I expose a lot of my thoughts and ideas to you guys and like my true feelings. That's the whole purpose of this, is to just be so real with y'all, because I feel like there's so many people out there who are not being real and we just need a community to like relate to. So that's why I'm sharing this, but we dig deeper on the whys, and then it kind of reveals to us like what our big, deep, scary, dark secret is. And that's probably why you're procrastinating. I've done this all throughout like school too. And anybody who's in school right now, just remember you're killing it and there is an end goal and there's a finish line somewhere there. So keep pushing. But connection to that, I remember being in grad school and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to study, or oh my gosh, I don't want to do this assignment or whatever it may be. And I would procrastinate and wait and wait and wait forever. If you can relate to that, snaps, if you're listening to this right now because you're taking a study break, there we go. I'm with you. I get it. Um, I used to push it off because I was like, it's just too much work. I'm overwhelmed. Okay, so let's dig on why we're overwhelmed and how we can combat that. So rather than procrastinating, like make yourself a little goal. Yeah, it's not fun, which could be another reason why why you're procrastinating, you're not getting your stuff done, but like how can you, if you're overwhelmed, how can you break it up? So for the studying example, like, okay, I'm going to study, chapters 1 and 2 on Monday. And then Tuesday, I'm going to study chapters 3 and 4. Give yourself little building blocks and little stepping stones to make it less overwhelming. Or if you don't want to do it because it's just straight up not fun, find a way to make that not fun thing fun. For example, and if you're washing your dishes right now listening, you're doing what I'm talking about. Making the dishwashing fun. I hate washing dishes. I hate doing laundry. Sometimes I don't even like cooking, but if I put on music, game changer. If you are somebody who dances around your house like you are a child, or has a concert every time a song comes on in your car, again, snaps, that's me. You can relate. That's what you need to do to like make it more fun. So when you're washing the dishes, rather than procrastinating and not doing them because oh my gosh, it's so not fun, I don't want to do it, turn on some music, make it fun. Turn on Netflix and watch Netflix while you wash the dishes. They take a little bit longer, but whose time clock are you really on? With stuff like that, especially, like, so what? It may take you 30 minutes instead of 20 minutes. Whoop, you got to watch a episode of your favorite show while you were cleaning. So, yeah, we got to figure out why. Why are we procrastinating? Is it because we're overwhelmed? Is it because it's not fun? Is it because we're afraid of the challenge that comes with it? So, with my example of like being afraid to record, I'm exposing myself to you guys. I'm telling you guys like the realities that I'm dealing with, and then trying to create, a community here. Like, I want you guys to be able to relate to me and, like I said, feel the realness, because I feel like there's way too much fakeness out there. But that's scary to do. So like that's a fear of mine. But that shouldn't be why I'm procrastinating. Now that I know, I'm going to feel less likely to procrastinate. Or there was another example that was kind of like that I just lost it. It was there. Like our fear. Oh, I remember. This one kind of goes along with our episode on like perfectionism. Like, oh, I don't have all my I's dotted and my T's crossed. Like, I don't want to do it because I want it to be so perfect that it just seems impossible. So we like turn a mound hill into a mountain. We do the spiral thing where we make something that's so small into something so big, and then we don't even think it's possible for us to do, so we just procrastinate and push it off and push it off because it's really not even that big of a deal, but we make it into this big deal in our head, which I do that all the time. Oh my gosh, if you could talk to my husband, he says it all the time. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to clean the house. I have to do the laundry. I have to go run to the store. I have to meal prep. And I'm on call this weekend for work. And he's like, okay, first off, how important is it for us to get that done like right now? What is our actual timeline on it? Is it okay if the laundry goes, another day without getting done? You have to go to work. So, like, that's obviously top tier priority. Do we have to go to the store today or can it wait and I can do it another day? So, like, offloading, but I turn it into this big mountain. Like, it's so big. And he's like, let's take it down some, get out of your spiral and just look at it simply. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. And once we have that done, then we can kind of prioritize and task other things rather than going into the spiral or procrastinating so much that nothing gets done. And then, if again, you're anything like me, going into another spiral of, oh my gosh, I did nothing because I was so stumped by whatever it was that made me procrastinate. And now I feel even worse and more overwhelmed and stressed and I want to pull my hair out. So listen to your little reasons why. Why? 7 times. And once you can kind of figure out what it is that's causing you to procrastinate, I feel like it's so much easier for us to just jump in and do it. And then the great thing about it too is like, I love scratching off things off of my to do list. And I love the feeling of accomplishing something. And I think that's just in our human nature, right? Like, if we have a challenge and if it scares us or if it makes us want to procrastinate, once we get it done, we're like, yes, oh my gosh, weight off of my shoulders. Like, I don't have to worry about that anymore. Or I have this sense of pride in this accomplishment. Like, wow, I can't believe I did that. It was really overwhelming or it was really scary. And I had all these stressors that were impacting me and making me want to push it off. But now that I've, you know, broken it down into like the nitty gritty of really what it is, and I got it done, I feel so proud and confident in myself, which is also another thing that we have to consider too here is like when we do these things, we add more confidence, and then that kind of will prevent us a little bit from procrastinating in the future too. So I think those are some really important things to think of in, kind of flip it around. So we always look at the task in front of us, and that's usually when we start to procrastinate, but flip it and say like, is it really that bad? It Why am I doing this and is it really that bad? And how can I just get it done? If it's something that, can be thought of like that, like, oh, let's just get it done. Um and I just want to kind of touch on this too. A lot of people consider themselves procrastinators. And I've heard a lot of other podcasts and like I've done some reading and things like that have talked about like we're identifying ourselves as a blank. Like, for example, I listened to a podcast episode a few weeks ago and she talked about like being a people pleaser versus having people pleasing tendencies. So in this case, I want to kind of brush on that too is, are we really procrastinators or are we procrastinating? Because when we kind of identify ourselves as like, oh, I'm a procrastinator, boom, that is my personality characteristic. Is it? Or is that something that you've kind of learned to do as a coping mechanism because of your reasons why? And now we have to kind of change that habit or that characteristic or that coping mechanism. It can be changed. We don't always have to procrastinate on the things that scare us or the things that overwhelm us or the things we want to do our absolute best at. We can change that by incorporating some of those things, like, making the offloading the task to somebody else, or breaking it down into smaller chunks and things like that. That doesn't mean that our personality is forever going to be a procrastinator. If we actually like take the time to sit and analyze and be cautious and give yourself grace when you're doing that, when you're analyzing your personality and the things that your habits and things like that, because that's two different things. Like, we have our habits and we have our personality, but we shouldn't mesh those together and just straight up say like, oh, I'm a procrastinator, always have been, always will be, but I don't like that about myself. Well, if you don't like that about yourself, don't continue identifying yourself as a procrastinator. Just change the language a little bit. And it seems a little silly to say that, and at first I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. But it really is so true. The things that you tell yourself and the things you repeat to yourself become your truth. So if you don't want to be a procrastinator, don't say, "Hey, I'm a procrastinator." Say, "Oh man, I'm procrastinating on this task. Oh, I don't like that. How can I change that?" The language matters a lot too. So that's just a little side note tidbit that I feel like is kind of helpful in situations where we are, pushing off what we want to do and not getting the things done that we either need to get done or want to get done. And that little shift could be just the thing that you need. So I'm going to throw that one in there too. Um, and then just lastly, I want to say, I will say this all the time also. We need to be kinder to ourselves when we are dealing with something like procrastination. So using the language that's a little bit better, saying I am procrastinating or I have procrastination tendencies, rather than being like, I'm a procrastinator, boom, flat out, end all be all. And just being patient with yourself. Like, if you're anything like me, I'm like so hard on myself over everything. And the more I wait to do stuff, the harder I am on myself. If you can relate to that, like, snaps and let me know if you're relating to that hard like I am. But when we're our toughest critics, we expect this like certain level of like go getter. I'm always going to do this. And we've again talked about this in the perfectionist episode. If y'all haven't listened to that, I think that was episode 2. Go listen to it. But we can't be on all the time. So if you're trying to change the habit that you've made of procrastinating, just be kind to yourself when you're trying to change that habit. It won't happen overnight, and it's not going to be easy every time you go to do it. And if you do it once, it doesn't mean that it's going to be easy to do it the next time. It's still going to be difficult because there's something rooted down on why you're pushing that task off, more than likely. So be patient with yourself, give yourself some grace, and know that yes, you may have procrastinated this time, but last time you didn't. So you have proof that you can break that habit, and you can, again, you're not going to do it every single time, but it's because you're human. You're not a robot. I'm taking that from somebody else, but I love it and it's so true. Like, we're not going to do everything the same every single time. And we do have to constantly learn and grow and evolve. And that takes repetition. You got to put in the reps in order to get the muscles. You got to put in the reps in order to get that degree. You got to put in the reps to change a habit. It's the same thing. None of this stuff happens overnight, and it is tough. But guess what? You're not the only one. There's at least 5 other people that you know of from this podcast that are also struggling with perfectionism. Not perfectionism. That too. But procrastination, wrong P word. Ooh. So know that it's not just you. Know that you can change it. Know that you have to be nice to yourself when you're trying to change it, and that it's not going to be perfect every time. Also, try because trying matters. Wink, wink. Uh, Try doing the 7 layers of why. When you start procrastinating, why am I doing this? Give an answer. Why? 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 Keep going. Boom. We have the core. Okay. How do we debunk that? How do we address that? And what can you use as tools around you to help get you out of the procrastination funk? I'm like picturing somebody standing in like quicksand, just like, procrastination, it's getting me. Yeah. Okay. So that's it. I'm keeping this episode relatively short and sweet. Um, because I procrastinated on it. Haha. No, I'm just kidding. But like kind of there's not much entirely to say about it other than that from my perspective. Now, the next time we talk about procrastination and maybe we're trying to turn it into a different light, and I don't know where I'm going with this. Actually, if we're trying to touch on this again in the future, I may do some more research on it and just get some more info from other people and then just be like your one source from multiple resources. Like I'll be your textbook on all of the other textbooks. Now I'm just saying things. Okay, I'm going to cut it off before I really stop making sense. But anyway, that's it. We're done for today. That's procrastination. I hope this was helpful, at least a little bit. I know it was helpful to me when I was doing it earlier. I hope you give it a shot and let me know if it's helpful to you when you try the 7 layers of why or any of the other tools that we kind of talked about. And if you have any other things that maybe help you when you start procrastinating, and then maybe we can like share and chit chat about it. Okay. Y'all have a wonderful day or night or afternoon or evening or whatever it is that you're doing and wherever you are listening in your car or washing your dishes or maybe while you're taking a shower. I don't know. Wash your hair, girl. That's what I just did. That's why mine's wet if you're watching on YouTube. Okay, I'm really going this time. Okay, bye. See y'all next time. Thank you so much for listening in. I hope you got a little inspiration to start taking steps towards whatever it is you've been wanting to try. If you love this episode, share it on socials and tag me. I'd love to hear how it helped you. And of course, we got to get the word out to the other women who are needing that little extra push like you and I do. Can't wait to talk to you soon.